Good morning. Happy Thursday, February 27th, 2025. Welcome to another edition of Let's Build Profoundly. I get to introduce myself today, which I'm excited about as we've gone through this series to showcase all of the initial pros that have joined Profoundly. And shout out to Scott Flanagan earlier this week as we were getting ready for the interview. He asked, "What do you do, Chris?" And that's a fair question. And it reminded me that it's only fair that I give at least one introduction of HubSpot expertise, how I got it, maybe a little bit of who I am outside of HubSpot land, if there is such a being right now. And then I'll share what I'm excited about for Kickoff, which I cannot believe is just a week away. Very exciting. Been a very exciting start to the year. But we'll dive right in. And if you're out there, feel free to ask questions as we go, and maybe it'll keep me from monologuing too much. But yeah, so what is my HubSpot expertise and how did I get it? I am a systems thinker, and it's always been challenging for me to, see the trees through the forest. So as I was introduced to HubSpot in 2017, at the time that Sales Hub and Service Hub were just arriving, HubSpot was never just a marketing platform to me. I was never introduced to it in that capacity. That is why I was able to invest in it. Marketing automation was the purpose. Where I'm at now and being able to help people change into HubSpot, buy in, get adoption, help with the data model, things like that. I want to share a little bit more of the journey because I think if you know me, I like context, and I think context is very important, and it's becoming more important than ever as we move into an AI-enabled world. So even though I am so focused on customer experience and collaboration right now, my professional journey started as a bench chemist coming down from Michigan with a biology degree to Houston, Texas, found myself in oil and gas. And the reason I like to highlight that is I remember thinking that it was just me. It was a bottle of oil. It's a balance. I was just creating bottles of oil, filling out spreadsheets, and I didn't have to deal with customers ever. And I was so happy about that. After spending years at a movie theater and working in retail, the whole part of the reason I was going to go into veterinary medicine, at least I was justifying for myself, was that I wouldn't have to deal with people. Like, animals can't talk back. And so that's where it started. And so how did I even get to a place where I love talking to people and focusing on customer experience? It's probably figuring out how to do it all the wrong ways. So, and experiencing, business and all the different departments and dealing with supply chain and things like that. Because as I grew in that business, there wasn't a lot of training. There wasn't a lot of enablement. It was just next man up. And I was in a lot of the right place at the right time to kind of move up and go from bench chemist to lab manager. And as lab manager in selling a customized commodity of sorts, I had to give the okay that, okay, we can actually make that product. And I had to figure out how we were going to make it and what the cost was going to be and what the price was going to be, for the customers. So I got really familiar with that kind of product management aspect. But then also, since we were a small shop, if anything was wrong with the materials that we were selling, I had to do tech support. And I understood very early that when people would call up with a problem and suggest that our product was at fault, there had to be some discovery, right? It's very easy to blame the $100 bottle of oil when there's $100,000, testing instrument in play. But when there's very important processes to follow. There's ASTM standards that tell you how you're supposed to measure this stuff, and those aren't being followed. It doesn't matter, what the bottle of oil is. You're not going to get good answers, right? Similar to how like CRM, if your data is set up poorly, it doesn't matter how great your hubs are and what kind of apps you have plugged in. If you don't have the process to go from data to customer, like understood, it doesn't matter how much you paid for the instruments or for the apps in our case. So I learned a lot about helping people understand, like, no, it's not this part of the process. It's this part of the process. And have you been trained? Do you understand that you're even supposed to be following this process? Has anybody told you that because you're working with this part of the supply chain, they do it differently? And just experiencing early on in 2011, how the market doesn't talk to each other to help each other learn and grow and figure out how to do things better. You just have a bunch of people trying to get their job done, doing their best, but often without the resources needed, not empowered to actually get the job done effectively. I was a part of that. As I was lab manager in our own business, I was king of the spreadsheets. That was what was given to me, gifted to me, this like process built for one person to do it very efficiently and very effectively. I knew exactly which spreadsheet to go get and clone and change for the next customer order, right? Or to figure out what we priced last time, right? All that ran through me. I built a very efficient system that was not connected in any way, right? Because I was the connection. Like my brain was the data processor. At the end of it, the relationship processor, the relationship manager between data and customers. And when I moved over into marketing and sales, which was just because I knew the products and I knew all of our customers, and it made sense that we could either bring in somebody for sales and marketing and have to teach them all about our products and our business and our customer base, or I could move over there and we could bring in a lab manager that just had to execute a quality management system, right? So for the business's sake, it made sense to jump over there. As soon as I did, and I started learning fundamentals of CRM, because we only had QuickBooks up to that point, I got introduced to Salesforce. I looked back at all the spreadsheets, at this domain that I was so proud of. And I was like, wow, I've been doing it all wrong. This is not going to sustain. It's going to be so hard to train somebody new. It's going to be challenging to scale. And it was. But since I had already moved out, I had no ownership over how that was going to be built out and how that was going to be moved forward. And no matter how much I talked about the need for a database, no matter how much I played with Access database and tried to learn that, like the CRM didn't touch that. We did try to build Salesforce into an orders management system, and it didn't go well, and it cost a lot. And I experienced that ecosystem in that way, but also inside of the business. We've got these silos, and it doesn't necessarily matter if customer data is flowing through the system effectively as long as every individual is doing their job and the customer is getting what they purchased. At the end of 2016, we just had our first down year, and I got approval for marketing investment, marketing automation. And since I was in the Salesforce marketing net, I only knew about Pardot and Marketo. And during that sales process, it became clear that Marketo was built on Salesforce and Pardot was not. And for all the other reasons that you might hear about, that made sense that Marketo would work better with Salesforce. Little did I know, a little 5 to 10 person business should not go anywhere near the complexity of Marketo to do programmatic marketing and stuff. But I got the investment and we started up. And as we were starting up, HubSpot Academy showed up because I was looking for ways to do it. I wanted to learn how to do marketing automation. Inbound marketing made sense to me, the inbound philosophy. So I got into the academy and started learning. And meanwhile, the Marketo onboarding was not going well. And this, if you've heard me talk about my disdain, which is not an extreme word to use, for managed services and the way that outside of the HubSpot ecosystem, things like this are managed like IT projects, and we just need to add all the complexity in, make sure it's working, but not care about the user experience. And if it's actually working for the people using it or the customers experiencing it. They couldn't even get me into the admin side of my portal. And it was just a bad experience, Marketo partner trying to implement, and they weren't involved in the sales process. Like the handoff was bad, all the things, right? All the things that we know. And day 27, I was fed up enough to go look at HubSpot pricing, to look at the pricing page and say, what's possible here? I've enjoyed the academy. I'm not enjoying my experience with Marketo right now. I've never really enjoyed the experience with Salesforce as a CRM. So let's look. And within 7 minutes, I got a call from a salesperson, and I was able to get out of the Marketo contract and transition over to HubSpot. That year, introduced to the Ask You Answer, story brand. So again, it's always been about the bigger picture, both from understanding how I had set up the operations system, right, to support a QMS. And based on all this spreadsheet foundation, which feels really solid when you're inside of it and you just have all the control. But as soon as you step back, it's not. It's like the most fragile thing. And after experiencing this and implementing HubSpot in 4 internal companies, or 4 companies internally from 2 million to 500 million, like I understood how prevalent this problem is, at least in manufacturing, right? And so in August of 23, partnered up with Salim Malouf, and we started our own agency because we had just experienced our last straw working internally, basically, about how you can get so much buy-in for the customer experience, so much buy-in for the content plan, even buy-in for HubSpot. But without RevOps, without a plan for the customer data, the whole life cycle, without ownership of the CRM and the ERP and every place that customer data might exist, you just can't get that stuff done. Like no matter how much the CEO wants it, because there's so many people involved that touches in marketing. They're the marketers. Why are they talking about sales process? Why do they need to be involved in how people access our user manuals online and making sure that all of our manuals match and our product naming? And so coming from engineering-based, scientist-based companies, it was challenging, but also spoke to how I came into this ecosystem, right? So it's clear that there was a space for manufacturing expertise and just looking at everything that happens after close one. So I specialize in quote to cash and, post-sales order management. And inside of that, a very real use case that is not realized by most, but wanted by almost every customer is B2B order portals or client-facing portals that go beyond tickets, right? I just want to know my status update. So that's been a very passionate project for me. And early on, I was on a Scott Brinker webinar about MarTech, landscape. And I said, B2B needs a Domino's pizza tracker. Like how has SaaS existed for 25 years and we can know more about our $8 pizza's life cycle and nothing has been created to support, the like $500,000 equipment life cycle that I gotta not hear from you for 6 months after I give you all this money, right? It's just unacceptable. Yet nobody has been able to move forward. And then there was a gap between, glorified Google spreadsheets and $1 million implementations, like largely based on, ERPs or customer experience platforms or, what have you. So that resonated, and it was much more than a manufacturing problem at that point. It's a B2B. And as I've dug into that, as I went through the RevOps bootcamp, I understood how challenging why it's been challenging to really deliver a full platform, a full customer experience to the industry. And that's why I'm so focused on, this knowledge sharing piece of it, because so much of this is solved through awareness. And if you don't have enough people sharing knowledge and it's locked away in the ERP implementers of the world, in the IT service providers, in the managed services contracts that are specifically designed to get you sometimes. Like, oh, that's out of scope. Oh, we said it could do it, but that's customized. We talked about configuration and scope. We can do that, but that customization is going to cost more, right? It's an unhealthy place to be for B2B SaaS, which is why I'm so bullish on AI and AI agents. And you think about all the complexity that is created by all these different tools that we use. AI is not having it. It just cuts right through that complexity. So it's going to be fun to see how this goes this year. So I hope that's helpful in terms of sharing a little bit about, the journey that I've taken to get here. A little bit about me outside of HubSpot before we jump into the kickoff. I'm a big gamer. I like to, uh, play games like Final Fantasy series, uh, roguelite. I used to play Magic the Gathering. So again, like slow paced systems thinking, like strategic stuff, is what I like to uh, focus on without necessarily getting my hands dirty, if that makes sense. So that's probably why I've never gone like the gardening route, like so many of the interviews of the pros that we've had on the show. Probably also why I'm excited that AI is coming around to do some of this stuff for me. But just because I don't like getting my hands dirty, like that's probably why HubSpot activates me so much, is that you can get the feeling of building something real in a digital format, right? And helping other people realize that they can do it too, and they don't need development school, they don't need development jobs, they don't even know how to code, and still be able to create some really great experiences that don't cost a lot of money and don't require these giant managed services contracts. That's what's driving me. And last year that led to an unlocked like creator mode, which was let's build, and just being able to share knowledge at scale and say, look at Kyle Jepson. Like we need 10 more Kyle Jepsons inside of HubSpot. We need 100 more outside of HubSpot. If we have any hope of keeping up with 1,200 updates per year. That's why I started pressing play. It's been great to see the participation and the growth of people like Danielle Urban, Ryan Osa, Josh Oakes, Tony Dowling. Getting to work with people like George B. Thomas and Nico Lafakis, and learning. Like, I think that's the underrated part about being a creator, is that it's far and away like one of the best ways you can learn about the product, about the use cases, about the problems, about the solutions. And I can only keep up right now because of all those conversations, because of all those discussions about strategically using HubSpot and creating success for all the businesses invested in it. And that leads us to what's happened with Profoundly and all those relationships, and the whole expert-led approach that we're taking leads us to an awesome event like Profoundly Kickoff next week. 8 tracks: HubSpot admin, web developer, integration developer, RevOps, AI, marketer, founder, solopreneur. Got some great main stage sessions from like a what is an admin panel. Jason Azikar giving us a sneak peek of the state of HubSpot, the job market. And I'm drawing a blank. So sorry on what the guide is called. The salary guide. There we go. That HubSearch does. And of course, Brian Garvey opening it up. Got some awards at the end. We've got Stuart Balcom giving a great main stage session about content as a business. And that's going to be very exciting. And I get to participate in a couple different ways. Web developer session with Aaron Wiggers on the concept of B2B order portals or B2B client portals, making websites accessible to your customers based on the data in the CRM is really what it comes down to. And that goes from all the way from audience to, champions, and being able to serve them their own data and get their help maintaining it, but also serve up those personalized experiences, and only having to upkeep your CRM data to do it is very powerful, and really excited to deliver that with Aaron. Going to be on a panel on the integration dev, talking about the importance of scoping related to any integration. It's less about how much experience you have with specific software here and there, but are we scoping effectively? Very excited to join that panel. So if you haven't yet, we're nearing 500 registrations after only launching a month ago, this platform and announcing this event. So that tells you how powerful it is to just bring experts together and give them the space to share knowledge and share their excitement, share their passion with the community. Very excited for what's happening with Profoundly, and we appreciate all the feedback, all the positivity that's being generated and coming our way and coming to the way of the pros. And I'm so grateful to be a part of it. If you want to join the event, head over to profound.ly and click on the big old CTA that we got on the homepage. To sign up, you'll get access to our community in Slack at the same time. Or if you want to be a pro, you can click on the Give HubSpot Help button right next to the Get HubSpot Help button to sign up, complete the application process, and join us as a Profoundly certified pro. So, I hope I appreciated you giving me the space to tell you a little bit about myself, and I look forward to continuing this journey with you, sharing knowledge, help people grow better together, and hopefully we see you next week at the Kickoff. Everybody have a great day.